Mr. Reyna is represented by Ms. Joanne Akel.
I'm sorry, Judge, we're present and ready.
Mr. Reyna, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Put your hand down. Mr. Reyna, you were originally charged with DWI with a blood alcohol content of 0.15 or higher. That
Yes, sir.
means you were charged with driving while extremely intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that you have a plea bargain and you're going to enter a plea. Before
Yes,
I
sir.
want to discuss with you verbally, and it will be recorded by my court reporter, Ms. Kayleen Rivera. It'll be recorded as an official record.
Yes, sir.
You have a right to remain silent. That means you do not have to make any kind of statement. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit written papers, documents that have your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. You understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You have a right to a jury trial. That means that in this proceeding, you and your attorney and the state could select from a pool of disinterested citizens 6 people who would hear all the evidence in this case. They in turn would decide whether you're not guilty or whether you have been proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. It's called the right to a jury trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, sir.
You also have the right, it's called the Confrontation of Witnesses. If you decided to go to trial, the state would have to try and prove you guilty by presenting testimony, witnesses. And those witnesses would be subject to you and your attorney questioning, cross-examining, or challenging every witness. That's called the right to confrontation of witnesses. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, I do, sir.
When all is said and done, there is also, when this case is finished, there's also what's called the right to appeal. That means you or your attorney or the two of you together could, in the proper manner, demand that a higher court review the official record in this matter for whatever legal challenge you wanted to make. The right of appeal is a little bit technical. You have to submit the proper documents with the substance and material that are necessary. Also, there are time barriers or limitations that are part of that. So you have to be careful, but that is the right to appeal. You understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You also have the right to demand, as does the state, they have the right also, to demand that this proceeding be held in the open public courtroom. You can make that demand, but in order to proceed with this plea, we're doing it by video conference, and you have to consent to that video conference if you choose to do it now, or you
Yes.
could demand for a public courtroom. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. State, he is charged with, originally with DWI extreme intox. Does the state have any kind of motions?
Yes, Judge, the state would move to waive the extreme intoxication enhancement and proceed as a DWI first.
No objection, Judge.
Now, what that means, sir, is that your attorney has gotten this reduced from a higher level of punishment to a lower level.
Yes, sir. I understand.
And there are other practical matters that go with it. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
The court does approve the motion and grants the motion, and you are officially charged with DWI first. Now, is he going to get deferred?
No, Judge.
With probation. Mr. Reyna, be aware that probation is a written, legal, binding agreement between you and this court. That agreement is essentially that you will live up to 100% of conditions of supervision in the community supervision.
Yes, sir.
In exchange, the jail sentence that I will impose will not be executed unless you fail or refuse to live up to the conditions of supervision. In other words, whatever jail sentence you get will be suspended. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. The conditions of supervision will be read to you by the probation office.
Yes, sir.
You will sign them and they will put a copy of them in your hand. Is that clear? Mr. Reyna.
Yes, sir. I understood.
So to the charge of DWI first, how do you plead, sir?
Plead no contest?
A no contest plea in this court is considered a guilty plea. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Did anyone threaten you, intimidate you, or promise you anything in exchange for the plea other than the plea bargain agreement?
Not at all, sir.
All right. Then I accept your plea of no contest. I find you guilty. Now, let's talk about how do you earn a living? First of all, do you have children?
Excuse me, sir?
You have children?
Yes, sir. I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I do building maintenance.
What do you earn on a regular basis?
Hourly or annually?
Take your choice.
Around 26,000. It varies with every year, different overtime hours, stuff like that.
Already. Does your wife work outside the house?
I'm single father.
All right. And are you paying child support?
No, sir. We don't have any legal issues.
Well, that's not good. You fathered the child, you should be supporting that child.
Oh, well, she lives with me full time.
Hmm.
The mother is not so much in the picture in my case.
All right. That's altogether different. State, what is the agreement on punishment?
Judge, the agreement is 180 days Bexar County Jail probated over 14 months, a $500 fine plus court costs, 48 community service hours, DWI education, victim impact panel live, TAP evaluation, and ignition interlock for half the term.
Judge, we would like to address the issue of the ignition interlock when the court is ready.
Okay. Address it now.
Thank you, Judge. Since this is a DWI first, Judge, I wonder if the court would consider not imposing the ignition interlock term on my client. He is a single parent, as you've heard, and this would add additional expense to his household. And additionally, Judge, the state has agreed to probate the $500 fine as part of our agreement.
And that's correct, Judge, the $500 fine being probated. I missed that on the paperwork.
All right, the $500 fine will be probated. What that means, Mr. Reyna, is that if you live up to your word and perform the 100% of the conditions of supervision, then you will not have to pay the $500 fine. If you fail or refuse to live up to all the conditions, then you will be facing the whole 500, plus other things like getting your suspension of jail time revoked. You'll be subject to going to jail for 180 days.
Understood, Judge.
That would damn sure lose your job doing that. All right.
Yeah.
You shall perform 48 hours of community service restitution.
Yes, sir.
The DWI education program, the Victim Impact Panel Live. You'll submit to a TAP evaluation and the recommendations subject to my approval. You'll have 7 months of ignition interlock. Well, let's talk about a couple of things, Mr. Reyna.
Yes, sir.
You know that the very worst thing that could happen to you, you know what that is?
As for,
If you went out drinking and driving,
oh,
and you end up having an accident and you kill your own child,
yeah.
that's the very worst thing that could happen. Do you think it happens?
Yes, I know it's happened.
It happens. So what I'm saying to you is, you might give real serious consideration to whether drinking is that important to you, more important than your child's life, because you endanger your child's life every time you drink and drive.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, there is a felony charge if you get caught drinking, driving with your child in the car.
Yes, sir.
You are sentenced to 180 days, probated for 14 months. The 7 months of ignition interlocked.
I'm sorry, Judge, what was that?
If the 7 months of ignition interlocked, it is not a requirement that I give you that, but it appears that you made a deal with the state that you would do it. If I release you from that obligation, and instead require you to do like 70 hours of community service, what would you think of that?
I would be very grateful, Judge, and more than glad to do those 70 hours.
All right. Instead of 7 months of ignition interlock, I will have you do, what did I say?
70 hours.
70 hours of community service restitution.
Understood, Judge.
I'm hopeful that that will, first of all, relieve the financial obligation and put a little burden on you physically, personally, which is
Yes.
okay with me. That doesn't come out of your family budget. Your supervisory fee will be $29 a month. Do you have any questions, Mr. Reyna?
No, sir.
Ms. Akel,
Yes, Judge.
any questions?
No questions, Judge.
Ms. Pollard,
Questions, Judge?
all righty. Then do not leave this hearing, Mr. Reyna. You have to meet with Maricela Luna, our court liaison officer. In addition, within 1 week, you're required to come by the offices of the County Court of Law number 5 and have your thumbprint placed on the documents as required by law.
Yes, sir. And question on that. I can go tomorrow morning, correct? There's no time frame. I mean, the week, but as for any time of the day?
That's correct.
Okay,
So
thank you,
long-
sir. Just making
So
sure.
long as the office is open, you come in here before 8, you're SOL.
And
Yes,
tomorrow's a holiday, Mr. Rayner. Don't come tomorrow.
Okay,
Courthouse holiday.
okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I had a question. So, he's getting 70 hours of community service, but the ignition interlock, it's not gonna be for 7 months?
He's not gonna have any ignition interlock.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Now, understand one thing, Mr. Reyna. If during the probation period, you drank it all and you get reported by the system, anybody, then I can't put the ignition interlock on you, or other things, including scram and other things that are very expensive.
Yes, sir.
Don't make me regret that I'm trying to help you out.
I will not, sir.
All right. Then at this time, you're excused. Ms. Akel, thank you as always for your courtesies and your good work. I think we're through for this group.
Judge, I just need to stay so I can speak to Mr. Reyna.
You're gonna meet with him, aren't you?
Yes, Judge, I am.
All righty.
Thank you, Judge.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
day.
Thank you, Judge. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Stay safe. You and your
I
family.
will.
Okay, just hang tight, Mr. Reyna.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Patricia, what else we got at 2:00?
Yes, sir. It's on 660-083, Brandon Edward Diaz.
660. Was that on the
Honey.
regular docket?
Yes, Judge, it's on page.
Yeah, I got it. Brandon E. Diaz.
And then the other,
They both
his other,
on the-
his other client is on page 4, Carrillo. 662962.
Oddly enough, these are right together on my page. Is he gonna handle both of them, 2:00?
That was my understanding, Judge.
Very good. All right, we'll wait for them, see if they show up on time.
Patty, would you mind putting me and Mr. Reyna in a breakout room, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
The gentleman that's logged on under iPhone, what is your name, sir?
I see that. One of them anyway.
Boo. He's gone.
He had checked in, huh? Did you get to eat it all, Patty?
Yeah, I inhaled my grilled cheese.
All right, was it good?
I don't know, Judge. I barely tasted it.
You had to inhale it, huh?
That's what I said.
Poor baby. I had that little heat up thing that Patty sent me with. And